Welcome to Influencers, a program brought to you by the Latin Chamber of Commerce, bringing you the people that influence our day, influence our city, our state, and everything in between. Today, we're so honored, I'm so honored, to have Dr. Marlow Hernandez Cano from Cano Healthcare. Cano Healthcare is making moves, making noise in multiple states, and I'm so proud to have them here. Dr. Hernandez, Dr. Cano, how do you like to be called?
Marlow, please.
Then Marlow it is. Marlow, thank you for being here with us today.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate the invitation to this program.
Yeah. Tell me, how did Cano Health get started?
Well, it got started as a dream by just the Great Recession, which threw so many people out of their jobs and thus out of their employer-sponsored health plans. And I was in medical school in 2009 and decided to do something about it. I was naive, didn't know any better, and said, well, you've got all this empty retail locations because of the big real estate crash that affected, in particular, Florida, where I lived. And I took one of those empty bays. I put a primary care center and started providing healthcare for the poor, the uninsured. It was for a very low fixed monthly fee initially. Then we started working with insurance plans, but always with the mission of providing the highest quality care possible to the community that we lived in. So Cano Health, it's about two things and two things only: increasing the quality of care and forming lifelong bonds with our patients. In so doing, we're revitalizing entire communities. And how it started was just that: very humble beginnings. There was no employees, there was no budget, there was no contracts, and I just thought there was a better way to deliver healthcare. And it started in that base of the pyramid, which is primary care. And by doing so, then you allow your patients to take care of their families, to go to work. And when you don't have it, that could be a big source of financial and emotional strain on an individual, entire families, entire communities. I got a lot of help from people who believed. My family, the local community, the educators at my university. I went to University of Miami, then to Nova Southeastern University, which is in Broward County in Florida, and got a lot of support in all the ways that counted. Didn't have the capital, but that's great because by necessity and with the heart of making a contribution, we built a model of care that cash flowed itself while benefiting those who needed it the most. And so far, we have been able to serve now millions of patient visits. We're in 4 states and territories: in Florida, in Texas, in Nevada, and in Puerto Rico, and over 70 medical centers, serving more than 500 medical affiliates, and a run rate of roughly 2 million patient visits. And the proudest thing of all, and I didn't think we'd get here, certainly not this quickly, is that we are making such a contribution to every community that we serve because we're going selectively into those underserved areas, which tend to over-index minorities, Latino communities, African American communities, other ethnic minorities, which tend to be in the lower socioeconomic strata. And we're many times going in rundown buildings, and then we're putting up a world-class medical center because we're not doing the underserved a favor by being there. We're proud to serve them. We're bringing that dignity back to primary care, and we're making the system more efficient, and we're incentivized to make our patients healthier, not just treat disease. We get a flat fee per patient, and so our incentive is to have the healthiest patient base, families, communities as we can. And the way that we earn income is through saving the health system the additional cost, all of the unnecessary tests,
Or
unnecessary procedures. We are serving what I like to say four key constituents. Of course, patients first and foremost. Second is our providers who are getting better tools to serve the patients. Third is all of the insurance plans who now have to pay much less to get a lot better quality. And fourth, the taxpayer, because when you're doing the first three right, then the taxpayer is winning as well. And well, when you've got all four served, then we all win.
that sounds like a win-win, the best situation to be in. I tell you, there's a few things that I really, really loved in all of that. And one, you mentioned that this came about through being naive, right? Just being naive. And a wise man told me that some of the greatest thoughts come out of being naive. So I appreciated that. I also very much appreciate that everything you just said, the way you talk about it, dignity, is very consistent with the meeting I had with you the very first time. So I'm very glad to hear that because it tells me that you're a genuine person, and this is what you believe. This is what you believe. Healthcare with dignity. That's awesome. So what would you say? What would you say is the Cano way?
Yeah. Yeah, so the Cano way is first and foremost treating patients like family. So I'm a Cuban immigrant. I learned much from my family. I didn't have much growing up, but I had everything. Everything that's important in life. My mother, a dentist, and the way that she treated her patients from Cuba. I remember being at the local Cuban polyclinics, they call it, with medical and dental, and how she would stay there until every patient got seen. And regardless of what they came in for, she did everything she could. And even here in the States, doing it for free many times just because it was the right thing to do. And so the Cano way is treating patients like family. The Cano way is disruptive. Because we didn't know how the traditional system worked. That's the naivety. But thank God we didn't, because if we did, then we'd be back into, well, we're going to set up kind of like in the ritzy parts of town where we can make more money. And if we make more money and we partner with certain manufacturers, distributors, and we sell this thing or sell that, then that's the mechanics of what we live in, this consumerism that is also very much in healthcare. And consumerism is not bad, but when it results in major social inequality, when it results in you not being able to get basic care so that you can have a job, so you can support your family, well, there's something wrong with that.
Yes.
And we stumbled into it by saying, yeah, it doesn't make sense to go where there's 1,000 other doctors or where there's 3 MRIs per community. Let's build it in areas where there's a need, and let's serve those who are not getting the access, who are not getting the necessary care coordination, who are not getting their basic care needs met. And then we worked around that to ensure we had the resources from a business perspective to keep doing it and doing it in a larger way. So it's treating patients like family in a sustainable way that optimizes the funding and the cost to yield the best benefit.
It's funny you say what you said. I remember telling my dad, I'm also Cuban, and I remember being very young, and I said, I said, that's unbelievable. Cuba gives its people, free healthcare and free education. And I almost said it. I didn't say the word dignity, but I was going there, and he stopped me and he said, yeah, and it rips out every other part of dignity of your life. And so that was powerful. I think here we should be able to give healthcare with dignity and still give people, dignity in the rest of the
This is
parts of
the
the.
greatest country in the world. I am so proud to be an American. I am American through and through.
Yep.
Wasn't born here, but I feel at all times very patriotic, even perhaps more than my kids who were born here.
That's
Uh,
right.
and they have just never experienced what I did, which is life outside of the confines of democracy and free markets and legal protections. And yeah, you can look to certain societies like Cuba and you say, well, you've got free healthcare and free education, and those are admirable things. But look at what you're giving up in return, for
Right.
those. You're giving up your life, your liberty, your hope,
Dignity.
your dignity in every which way. It is a terrible and oppressive system. Whereas here, because of the genius of our founding fathers, because of liberty, because of free markets, because of law and order, we can have all of that. We just have to think outside the box. We have to have the will from a business and economic perspective, but also that at the political level. And we have created safety nets like Medicare and Social Security, and at the state level, Medicaid. And those are things that are necessary. And as a capitalist, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I would tell you those are absolutely necessary things, as it just increases the pool of folks that can participate in the labor force and reach their potential and increase competition, which is ultimately that invisible hand of the free market that Adam Smith talked about centuries ago in England. And so what we need to do today is to take the path less traveled, to understand that there is opportunity, major opportunity in areas that have been neglected, to feel incredibly proud of this country and avail itself of the resources that it gives you. And if you have that, if you have the will and you're willing to put in the work, you can be very successful. And that in many ways is the story of Cano Health.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Let's bring it home a little bit and tell me what it means for Cano to be in Nevada.
Well, Nevada, funny you mentioned that. I've got family in Las Vegas. Cubans settled across the country, but mainly
A lot of Cubans
in
here.
Florida, in New Jersey, and in Las Vegas. Other areas as well, but there are strong pockets. So he's talking about bringing it home. There's definitely a kinship there. But we have operations in San Antonio pretty soon, and McAllen and other areas. My parents crossed the border, even though they're Cubans, but they had to leave the country somehow. And long story, but they had to cross a number of borders from Nicaragua all the way, through the Rio Grande. And so we have a certain kinship to all who have left their homes, everything they've known, for just the opportunity. This is the land of opportunity, the land of dreamers. And Las Vegas could be the epitome of that. Compared to a few other sites, I can't decide which one provides more examples. Is it New York? Is it Los Angeles? Is it Miami? It's one of those areas where if you can dream it, you can be it. And we've got a lot of folks that are immigrants or are native born, but are just fighting every day to give a better life to their family and reaching their potential and availing themselves of the opportunity to make life better for themselves, for the community, for the country. And so Las Vegas is one of those really exciting places around the world. And we're very proud to be there. There are very real needs that probably Vegas has more than many other parts of the country due to COVID. And we felt very strongly that we needed to be there and help with the issues with hotels, restaurants,
Yeah.
and other industries with so much morbidity and mortality from COVID. So
Yeah, so let's stay on COVID. I'm glad you segued right into that because obviously this has been a difficult year with this COVID, and like you said, Las Vegas has been hit extremely hard. It's another reason why I'm very grateful that you guys came into town because you're creating jobs. We must not lose sight of that. It's all about job creation as well. So that also gives people dignity when they're working. So, what are your thoughts about the COVID-19 vaccine, the speed in which it came, and do you trust it?
I trust the vaccine. I was able to get vaccinated as a healthcare worker with hospital privileges. I wish I can offer it to all of my patients. So we have been lobbying the state governors, the federal government, everybody that would hear us. The vaccine needs to be put in the hands of primary care providers like ourselves to exclusively and initially vaccinate the elderly, particularly those above 75 years of age, or those above 55, let's say, with two or more chronic conditions. It is those cohorts, those patient groups that are dying in much greater number. And it's very sad to see every day 3,000 deaths. Those are our family members. Those are elderly for the most part. And we have the vaccine with us. I definitely trust it. And I'll give you 3 reasons to trust it. One, it was developed independently by at least 3 companies that now have workable vaccines in 2 continents. Number 2, there are 2 different technologies with 3 different groups, and yet the results are fairly similar. Number 3, it's been over 100,000 patients participated in 3 phase trials with rigorous scientific type of analysis that has been reviewed by multiple medical bodies, including probably the most prestigious in the world, and in the UK and in the US. And vaccines in general are what I would call a miracle of public health. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there, and I know there are some folks that have had to endure pain and suffering in their families, and sometimes you look for an association. But I can tell you, as a doctor, as a neighbor, as a father, I vaccinate my kids. I would vaccinate them as soon as this vaccine is approved for children and available. But of course, we have to give the opportunity first in line for our elderly, for those with chronic conditions. And we at Cano Health are ready to vaccinate, and we're ready to vaccinate 3,000 to 4,000 patients a day. We're ready to pick them up and bring them to the centers, to vaccinate at the home, to do drive-throughs. We're ready. We just need the vaccine, and hence we were talking about it just before this interview. Peter, love to get your help and other community leaders like yourself to lobby our political leaders and get the vaccine in our hands, because that's what's going to make a real impact in terms of deaths. The incidence rates are occurring primarily in the younger demographic, but those are not the ones that are dying. If we want to curb those 2,000-3,000 lives that we're losing a day, which is a staggering number, that is 50, 60, 90,000 a month. We must give it to our high-risk patients right away.
Yeah, I give you my word. I will be lobbying for that. I give you my word, and you know it. I will. So that's incredible information, and I hope everybody understands how important this is. Lastly, I can't help myself as a proud American. I was born in America, and I love this country, but I'm also proud of my roots, proud of my culture, and so I'm proud that of Cano Health's recent merger, a Latino-owned company. We're talking about the New York Stock Exchange. We're talking 4.4 billion. This is good stuff. How do you feel about the merger and the future?
Well, I feel great. We have partnered with people who share our values, who want to provide better care for the underserved, who um, understand the mission and the vision of the company. The way that I see the value is now we've got a lot more opportunity to touch many more lives. We set back 10 years ago as the vision of the company to become America's primary care. I never thought we'd be sitting today 10 years and thinking of going public as was announced. I thought perhaps within my lifetime, I can make an impact in my home state of Florida, but to already be national and being one of the largest companies in our sector is an incredible blessing. It's an incredible responsibility. I feel that I've got the weight of the 2,000 associates and their families on my shoulder that work at Cano Health, and the 100,000 patients plus that we take care of on a routine basis. But what drives me is that there are so many more that deserve better care. We've got a lot of dedicated practitioners out there, but they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the systems, the ability to provide the necessary holistic, comprehensive care free of the shackles that sometimes the economic arrangements put on them, or heavy burden of internal regulation. We at Cano Health are changing that, and we're seeing entire communities be revitalized, and that just gives me, even more adrenaline to keep going, and to see Cano Health be a national brand, be a part of Americana, to have that kind of legacy because of patients that are very much like my parents, who gave me the opportunity and should always be treated with dignity, but also because this is an incredible country, which as a whole welcomed me and my family. And we've got a real healthcare problem, and it would be my absolute honor to be part of that solution.
Well, I think that's a great place to end it. Dr. Marlow Hernandez Cano. Marlow, you said I can call you Marlow, and I will. It has been just incredible having this conversation with you, one of many, because I want to have you back as this journey continues, because it's such an important subject. And to all of you watching and listening, you heard it straight from the doctor. The vaccine is safe, it's important, and it's going to be the way we get our economy back open and going. So please do it as soon as you can. For today, I thank you for joining us on this show of influencers, and I hope you got great information. I know I did. Until we see each other again, thank you for joining us today.